Hare Krishna. So let's start with Mangalachan. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapad Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tushe Namaha Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah Hare Krishna. So we are reading verse 27 from 25th chapter of 3rd canto. Asevayayam prakritim gunanam Jnanena vairagya vijrumbhitena Yogena मय्यर्पितया च भक्त्या मां प्रत्यगात्मानम् इह वरुन्धे असेव्यायं प्रकृते गुणानां ज्ञानेन वैराग्यविजृम्भितेन योगेन मय्यर्पितया च भक्त्या मां प्रत्यगात्मानम् इह वरुन्धे असेव्यायं प्रकृतेर्गुणानां ज्ञानेन वैराग्यविजृम्भितेन योगेन मय्यर्पितया च भक्त्या मां प्रत्यगात्मानम् इह वरुन्धे Devotees, please. Sevayayam prakrtirgunanam Manena vairagyavijuddhina Mam pratyatmanam iha varunde Mam prakrtirgunanam Sevayayam Mataji's. So word by word translation. Asevaya. By not engaging in the service. I am. This person. Prakrite gunana. Of the modes of material nature. Jnanan. By knowledge. Vairagya. With renunciation. Vijrambhitena. Developed. Yogena. By practicing yoga. Mai. Unto me. Arpitaya. Fixed. Cha. And. Bhaktaya. With devotion. Mam. Unto me. Pratyak Atmanam. The absolute truth. Iha. In this very life. Avarandhe. One attains translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thus, by not engaging in the service of the modes of material nature, but by developing Krishna consciousness, knowledge and renunciation, and by practicing yoga, in which the mind is always fixed in devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one achieves my association in this very life. For I am the Supreme Personality, the Absolute Truth. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When one engages in devotional service to the Lord in the 9 different kinds of bhakti yoga, as enunciated in authoritative scriptures such as hearing, shravanam, chanting, kirtanam, remembering, offering worship, praying and offering personal service, either in one of them or 2 or 3 or all of them, he naturally has no opportunity to engage in the service of the 3 modes of material nature. Unless one has good engagement in spiritual service, it is not possible to get out of the attachment to material service. Those who are not devotees, therefore, are interested in so-called humanitarian or philanthropic work, such as opening a hospital or charitable institution. These are undoubtedly good works in the sense that they are pious activities, and their result is that the performer may get some opportunities for sense gratification, either in this life or in the next. Devotional service, however, is beyond the boundary of sense gratification. It is completely spiritual activity. When one engages in the spiritual activities of the devotional service, naturally he does not get any opportunity to engage in sense gratificatory activities. Krishna conscious activities are performed not blindly, but with perfect understanding of knowledge and renunciation. This kind of yoga practice, in which the mind is always fixed upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead in devotion, results in liberation in this very life. The person who performs such acts gets in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya therefore approved the process of hearing from realized devotees about the pastimes of the Lord. It does not matter to what category of this world the audience belongs. If one meekly and submissively hears about the activities of the Lord from a realized soul, he will be able to conquer the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unconquerable by any other process. Hearing or associating with devotees is the most important function for self-realization. Hare Krishna. So we are currently in chapter 25, as we said earlier, of 3rd canto. And this chapter is titled, The Glories of Devotional Service. In last few chapters, we saw that although the Lord is unborn, but still he takes birth. He took birth as Kapila Muni. So why does he do so? To benefit humanity. And he also gives the transcendental knowledge to his mother, Devahuti. She asked him about the relationship between spirit and matter. So the Lord explains that the conditional life is when we or our consciousness is attracted by the 3 modes of material nature. But when the same consciousness is attached to the Lord, then that's liberation. So when our mind becomes purified, we can transcend the stages of material happiness and distress. Lord also describes different symptoms of a sadhu. In the previous classes, we spoke about he's tolerant, peaceful, engages in devotional service without any deviation. So free from all the attachments. And we hear in the association of such pure devotees, and we also start disliking sense gratification, and we start thinking about the Lord, his activities. So now, with this verse, I personally found it quite profound. You know why? Because it has got everything in it. Means, when someone asks us to do something, what do we say? What do I need to know if someone had asked me to do something? We generally ask, or would like to ask, what needs to be done exactly? What do I need to do? we also ask, why should I do it? And then the question comes, okay, but how would I go about it? How should it be done? And then we understand that, when should I do it actually? So we are also, quite focused on the result. What would I benefit out of it? What's the result? So what would be the result, and when will I get the result? So all this information is actually given in this verse only, in just one verse. And it also gives further information of what not to do and what not to do. So not to be engaged in the service of 3 modes of material nature. Rather, what to do? To engage ourselves in the transcendental service of the Lord. So it does talk about the result, which is Krishna consciousness, developing Krishna consciousness. How it can be done? By fixing our mind in devotional service. And the result is achieving the Lord's association. And when will it actually happen? In this very life. So let's focus on 3 things from the purport. The key main renunciation, the phrase used in this life itself, and the devotional service. Of course, this chapter is all about devotional service. So let's look at renunciation first, because it's important, really important, I should say, to understand the meaning of renunciation. So earlier this week, we heard about the meaning of renunciation. So we need to understand that renunciation doesn't mean renouncing all the activities. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Sannyasastu mahabaho dukkham aptam ayogata yoga yukta munir brahma na chirenadi gacchati, which says, just merely by renouncing all the activities, but not engaging in devotional service of the Lord, cannot make one happy. And a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. So, again, those things, a person needs to be engaged in devotional service, so, can achieve the Supreme Lord and without delay. So na chirena, it says. So not after a long time. Chirena means long time. Na chirena, it won't take long. Adi gacchati, so one will attain soon. It won't take too much time. As stated in the purport of this verse, unless one has good engagement in spiritual service, it's not possible to get out of the attachment to material service. In Bhagavatam, in other places as well, we see, for example, in 4th canto, chapter 22, verse 39, it says, Yat pad pankaja palasa vilasa bhaktaya. So this section is from the Prithu Maharaj section, and he's describing, like the conclusion of the verse is Bhaj Vasudeva, to worship Vasudeva. So Pada Pankaj Palasa, by worshipping the lotus feet of the Lord, I will make spiritual advancement. So therefore, what should we do? Vilasa Bhakti. So our devotee delights in the practice of bhakti. And then when that happens, after that what happens? Karmashayam grathitam. So karmashayam, forces of karma, the desire for fruitive results. There are impressions in our mind as well, which impel us, push us, force us to do fruitive activities. So gratitam, and they are quite deeply rooted. But udgrathayanti, they become uprooted. Santa, the saintly people, they do it like this. So the verse continues to say, Tadva na rikta matiyo. So those who try to empty their mind. So na rikta matiyo. Rikt is to empty. So when I say, oh, I won't think about it. No, I won't think about that. No, I won't even think about this thing. So I'm trying to empty my mind. It won't work. Why it won't work? Because Shroto Ganastam Aranam Bhaj Vasudevam. Shroto Gana. Shroto is here in this verse refers to the waves of the ocean. So in Australia we have, so many beaches, and if we go to a beach and say, oh, I'll dry this beach out, I'll take the bucket and throw all the water from the beach into the ocean. So I may try that, but the waves will come again, and then it would be all wet again. I may try to again, throw the water, but again the coast would be wet. So it won't work. Similarly, like if we try to empty our mind, so the waves of desires, they will come either from like outside world. We see so many things around us. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, I want to eat this. Oh, that is so good. So from externally, we may get those desires. Or we may say, oh, no, I'm going to sit in a, dark, closed room. I won't see anything. I won't hear anything. But would it work? No. How would desire come? Because I'm not seeing anything, hearing anything, talking anything. It may come from inside me. How? Oh, I remember last year I had so much fun doing this, or 10 years ago, I want to do it again. So those from internal as well. So external, but internal as well. So my recollection from my memory of indulging in those desires or sense gratification, they will come like waves. So from internal and from external. So I won't be able to keep my mind empty as such. So, so externally, sense objects, internally, my mind. So to understand this, we can take the example of a glass. We may say a glass is empty, but actually it's filled with air, right? But if we want completely empty, we don't even want air in it, then we'll say, oh, we'll use a vacuum to pull out all the air. You can try. And as soon as the air gets little exposure, what will happen? Glass will be filled with air. You may not be able to see it, but it would be filled, right? So it's not really empty. But to get the air out of the glass, what we can do is, we can fill the glass with water. Air would come out. So this is what we need to do. When we fill our mind with devotional service, then there won't be any room for other desires. Let's look at another verse from Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna assures that it won't take too long to attain him. Kama krodho vimuktanam yatinam yat chetasam abhito brahma nirvanam vartate viditatmanam. So those who are free from anger and from desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and they constantly try to engage for perfection, so those are assured of liberation. And when? In the near future. So this is from chapter 5, and we may say, or someone may say, oh, but chapter 5, aren't there a few chapters, first few chapters for or about karma yoga? Yes, but the general principles which Krishna gives, they can be applied to bhakti yoga as well. So kama krodha vimuktana. So when one is freed from kam and krodha, vimuktanam, mukta is liberation, vimukta is thoroughly liberated. But the thing is, where do these come from, like kam and krodha? I didn't see them coming. So where are they coming from? Krishna talked about those two as our inner enemies. He talked about them in 3rd chapter, like 3.37, because Arjuna asked in 3.36, he said, I don't want to do the wrong things, but I'm impelled. Someone is forcing me to do the wrong things. I'm not willingly doing, so I'm unwilling. But I still end up doing them. So what's that? Then Krishna replied, Kam esha krodh esha rajoguna samudbhava. So kam esha krodh esha. So kam and krodha, both are being coupled together. Again, it's not the first time, like 337, Krishna coupled them. In 2.62, where he was explaining how frustrated karma can lead to krodha, where he said, Dhyayato vishan pumsa sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodho bijayate. So Krishna talked about them earlier as well, how they are linked and connected. When you contemplate or think about the sense objects, oh, that was so beautiful, I want to get it. Again, thinking about it, oh, that was really good, I really want it. So when I started thinking, contemplating upon it, then I developed the attachment for that thing. And then when the attachment, from that attachment, lust develops. And then from lust, anger arises. So Krishna refers again, in 5th chapter when he said, 5:22, he said, sense pleasure leads to misery. Dukkha yonaya evate. So what should we do? Na teshu ramate buddha. Don't engage in sense gratification. Then in the next verse he said, Saktoti heiva yasodam prak sharira vimokshanat kama krodod bhavam vegam sayukta sa sukhi naraha. So who would be sukhi nara? What do we need to do? We need to tolerate them. And how long should I tolerate? Like just for an hour, for 1 day, 1 week? Because they are from Sharira. So you have to tolerate as long as you have this Sharira, as long as you have this body. So you have to tolerate them. But I'm struggling, I struggle so much when I try to tolerate it. It's like, I want to do it. No, I don't. It's like a tug war. It's just pulling me. So it's such a big struggle. Would I be struggling all my life? No, not really. Why? Won't desires come? No, it's not that desires won't come. But we would be more mature in our devotional service, so we would know how to deal with them. So, like an experienced firefighter, when there is fire doesn't say, oh, experience, 20 years or 40 years experience, oh, I should actually extinguish myself because he's coming, he knows. Or it's just second day or first day of his work. No, but experienced person knows how to deal with it. So once we get more mature in our bhakti, we know how to deal with those desires. We know actually and what to do. So, sorry. But the thing is, again, when we say kama and krodha, they were coupled. Because sometimes people say, oh, I can actually control my kama, but I can't control my krodha. Anger, it just comes and I just vent it out, and it's not even in my control. But the thing is, if someone is just controlling kama, and kama is not purified, then what's happening is it's suppressed. Means, again, this battle, do this, no, yes, no, yes. So and also it's self-centered. Like, I want to do it, no, I won't do it. I want to do it, no. I want to think, no, I don't want to think about it. So it's about me, 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 me. But as a devotee, it's not about me, it's about Krishna. I want to remember Krishna. I want to love him. I want to serve him. I want to surrender to him. So I want to please him. And therefore, or if I don't do it, the focus is not on me, it's rather on Krishna. So, sorry. So if you have a child, and you're playing, with a child, whatever makes a child happy, even though it might, seem or you may think it's so silly to do, but still just to please the child, you do it. In the material world, we do it. And that makes us happy when we see the child laughing, smiling. So as a devotee, we want to please Krishna. And that's a prominent desire, rather than our own enjoyment or our own sense gratification. It's not, even we are not, as a devotee, should be motivated by the desire to renounce. Again, it then becomes about me. Rather, the desire to serve Krishna. Because if we just try to control, then one day what will happen? Oh, I have given up this thing. I have given up that thing. I have given everything up. And if something, even slightly wrong, something happens, anger would come. Oh, what's the point? Because it will explode. Our anger would explode like a volcano. We heard past stories of Vishwamitra. He was doing meditation, tapa, austerity. And then he was tempted by Kama when Menaka came. So she seduced him. And he fell prey to her. Then he had to do the austerity again. He lost that. Then he was very determined. This time, I would be very focused. And then when Ramba came, he knew exactly what's happening. He knew she was being sent by Indra. So he got so angry, oh, again? And he cursed her. But then, he again lost his power. So the point is, ultimately, we need to direct our emotions towards Krishna, towards the Lord. Because Kama and Krodha, both, they are those emotions that take us away from Krishna. So they can be obstacles for us. Krodha or anger, it's called Kama Anuja. Kama Anuja means Anuja means younger brother. Like Lakshman, he's called Rama Anuja, younger brother of Rama. So Krodha is called Kama Anuja. Means when Kama comes, sooner or later, Krodha will come. Anuja. Ja means to take birth. And Anu is inferior or lower or, born later, someone born later. So in general, when we want to advance spiritually, we need to become free from Kama and Krodha. When we don't redirect our desires towards the spiritual platform or towards Krishna, then what are we doing? We are just shifting from one material thing to another. Some people may have addiction to drink. Or I have to, it's such a bad addiction, it's so harmful, I need to leave alcohol. They may start smoking. So the thing is, both are evils. Okay, not smoking, maybe chocolates. So it's less evil, but again, just shifting from one thing to another thing. Just substitution of things. But as devotees, what we try to do, we don't shift from one material thing to another. Rather, we try to shift from material to spiritual. And we want purification so that we can revert back, go back to Krishna. Because we originally came from him. So Kama, Krodha, Vimukta Nam. So become free from Kama and Krodha. How? By practice of sadhana bhakti. Yatinam yat chetasam. Yat chetasam means control over the mind. So what Krishna is saying, if we have to control Kama and Krodha, they are internal, right? It's not like someone walking around called Kama or someone walking around Krodha, just change their name or whatever. Now, if we want to control them, it's not enough to do that externally. We have to do it internally. So say, I may not be indulge in lust, or I may not vent out my anger, but it won't purify me. It is good, like at least at physical level, I'm not just yelling and screaming at everyone or anyone. So that's good. But to remove anarthas even from the mental level. Because as long as they are at our mental level, they are pushing us, punching us, disturbing us, torturing us to do things. So Kama Krodha Vimuktanam Yatinam Yat Chetasam. So one who is controlling the mind, it's important to remember Krishna. When we remember Krishna, we are redirecting our hearts from material to spiritual. Then, Abhito Brahma Nirvanam. Abhito means assured in the near future. So in near future, and again, Krishna talked about this near future because sometimes, when someone asks us, you should do bhakti, or do you know, when will that happen? When will I go back? So it's really important to convince ourselves, yes, it will happen soon. Because Krishna is saying, it's not like I'm saying or someone else is saying. Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, and at so many places he's saying, he's Abhito or Nachirena, again in Bhagavatam, this verse, in this very life. Even in 4.37, Krishna said, Jnanam ladva param shantim, achirena adigachati. So achirena, we spoke about, not after a very long time. So one attains supreme spiritual peace, param shantim. Yeah. Again in 5th chapter, Abhito, we spoke about in the near future. So one will attain the liberation. I was hearing a lecture from His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji, and in his class he was explaining the whole process. He was explaining one of the verses or a couple of verses from Bhagavad Gita, and he explained very beautifully the progression. So let me share those with you. So he said the first step is to become detached from external stimuli. So when we don't get too excited about sensual or material pleasures, something good happens, okay, too excited, or something bad happens, too depressed. No. So detachment from the external stimuli. Then the next step, second step, you can say, one turns inwards, and one When one turns inwards, then seeking happiness within. So we start seeking happiness within, then what will happen? It takes us to the third step. We learn to concentrate on the Supreme. And when we learn to concentrate on the Supreme, our vision is not, or our focus is not external. Because if we are just focusing on external things, we can't really focus internally. If it's like too noisy, too many people, then it's even hard to chant, right? Because we say, I can't focus. I need a decent quiet place, not too noisy. Like I can't even hear myself. So what happens when you concentrate? Too much externally, you can't concentrate internally. You can't focus internally. So we need to learn to focus on the Supreme. Then what will happen if I do that? Next step, we relish imperishable happiness. Why imperishable happiness? So kam akshayam ashnute. Why so? Because Krishna is within our heart. And he's not like any definite ocean. He's infinite. He's the source of that infinite happiness. So when we turn inward, we connect with that ocean. And then we experience that happiness. So if we are serious spiritual seekers, then, we generally hear about dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So we don't caught up in just at that level, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. We say with dharma, artha and kama, yes, they are important at one level, but far or more important is moksha. And moksha, what it ultimately means is to become situated in our relationship with Krishna. In Bhagavatam, it's said, Muktar hitva anyatha rupam swarupena vyavasthita. So to become situated in our swarupa, in our constitutional form, in our relationship with Krishna. Someone may say, but we do have some pleasure, we do get some pleasure when we, indulge in those or come in contact with those sense objects. Yeah, true. Like if I eat something very delicious, yum, then it does taste good. So I do get pleasure, okay. If I see something beautiful, oh, that's beautiful. So I want to see it again. I can't take my eyes off. So we do find some pleasure, right? But the thing is, so that's bhoga, right? So that pleasure at that time is there. But what Krishna is saying, he's saying, dukkha yonaya evate. That leads to dukkha. Why dukkha? I found it very tasty, when I ate that. Or I found it very beautiful when I saw that. I felt happy. Because that's temporary. Why it's temporary? Because there are three possibilities. First one, it's not attainable. We may look at, so many beautiful things. But we may not get all those beautiful things. We can't. For example, I saw, or I heard, oh, Switzerland is so beautiful. There's a possibility I don't have money to book a flight. Oh, so I can't attain it. But the thing is, I do have money actually. So I can go, it's beautiful. I'll just go and enjoy. Okay. It could be for other things, a 5-star hotel or fine dining. It'll cost you thousands of dollars. I don't have that money. Unattainable. But even if we have that money, then we'll go to the second step. Then what happens? It's attainable because I've got the money, I'll attain it. Or I can go there, I'll just go there. It's not pleasurable. Means, I went to Switzerland. Oh, I heard so much about it. It's not that even beautiful. It is beautiful. But Australia, have you seen Australia? Oh, it's so beautiful as well. So it didn't meet my expectation. I spent so much money, hotel accommodation, flight, time. I took the time off from my work. It's not worth. So it's not pleasurable. I heard it, but it's good. Didn't meet me. But the thing is, or I went to the hotel. I spent, with thousands of dollars for fine dining thing, or I don't know, movie or something. It could be, that was, such a waste of time. But the thing is, I may find it, that was the best thing I've seen. Switzerland is the best country. The scenic beauty can't compare in the whole world. Could be, right? Because we do find. Okay, you may find it enjoyable, but then what happens is, it's not retainable. How long can you be there? You may have booked accommodation for 1 week, 1 month, 3 months, you have to come back. Or with eating, how much can you eat? You like the food. I went to the hotel, it was so good. I never tasted such food. But how much can you eat? Can you eat like 24/7, 365 days? No, your body has limited capacity. So it's not retainable. So I wish it could go, but no, it can't go on and on forever. So that's why it's temporary. So I just repeat, either unattainable or not pleasurable or not retainable. So in Bhagavad Gita, it's mentioned, ये ही संस्पर्श जब होगा दुख यो नया एवते आदि अंतवंता कौन्तेय ना तेषु रमते बुधा. So ultimately, what we are getting is misery. It was so good, I have to come back to work, I don't like it, I just want to go back. Now I'm not even happy. Have you seen kids with whatever play or, I wanted more. This is what we also do. I want to just stay there, it was so good. I just want to go again, and then we start lamenting. It got over so early, people make videos. I'll have a memory because I'll forget. I want to stay there longer, so just keep it long. Anyways, so when we say, or when Krishna said, dukkha yonaya evate. So yonaya is womb. So pleasure, it's basically, is pregnant with the misery. What does it mean? Like with pregnancy, there may not be immediate any change, but then there's definite delivery. So similarly, with sense pleasure, it's pregnant with misery. Then delivery or the misery is going to come. That's definite. So to understand it a little bit better, we can say it's like a sandwich. The sense pleasure, enjoyment, or gratification. How sandwich? You got two loaves of bread. Upper one is hankering. I want this. Okay. And then the middle, we generally complain, middle layer is very thin, like before you know it finishes. Or you always like not the bread tastes so good, rather, the filling, you say, it tastes so good. Because I've got like creamy vegetables or something, delicious or whatever, butter or, something spicy. So, but the thing is, I just want to get through this, bread thing so that I can taste, the best part of it. So those two loaves, you can say, the first one we spoke is hankering, and the second one is lamentation. Because there is teeny-weeny pleasure. We do get that pleasure, and that's why we eat sandwich, right? So our mind is basically pushing us, beating us to eat that sandwich, I want it. Okay, then I eat it, and then it gets over before I even enjoy it probably or, relish it. So that's between hankering and lamentation, this teeny-weeny little pleasure. Yeah. So the pleasure is adi antavanta. So there is a beginning and there is end. And a wise person, what does he do? Na teshu ramate buddha. Such wise person doesn't take pleasure or delight in such pleasure. Buddha, wise, learned person. In chapter 5 of 5th canto, again, it's mentioned, one should do divine austerity. Tapo divyam. And why should we do that? What will happen if we do that austerity? It purifies our consciousness. And then we experience the unlimited happiness. Because, sometimes it's like, but those desires, they are really strong. They are really strong. So unless I do it, they just keep coming back. They just trouble me, So that's why I just do it. So Prabhupada gives example of a tiger. A tiger trained in a circus. So initially, the tiger rose. But then tiger knows I would be fed if I become obedient to them. So tiger initially is not fed. They starve the tiger. And tiger, what does tiger do? Roars, He threatens kind of like. The new trainer, inexperienced trainer think, oh, no, let feed the tiger, or otherwise it may come out, it's like, tiger's so angry, I'm scared rather. But what would the experienced trainer say? Wait, it'll calm down. It may roar louder externally, but internally, it's getting weak and weaker. So just wait, don't feed. Then tiger becomes obedient. But again, once tiger becomes obedient, can we just carelessly let tiger, everywhere in the circle. No, still we need to be very cautious. Similarly, when you say, okay, with our mind, it's like a tiger. We still need to handle, or be very mindful. Because mind can say, enjoy, 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 so start roaring like tiger, and then we may do it. But if we don't do it, then it starts becoming weaker and weaker if we don't fulfill what it asks, its desires. So the spiritual life, it's the hard work, no doubt, but the work is internal. It's not external or outwards. But the result is far, far, far greater. Because when we indulge in or when we fulfill our desires, then the result is temporary. Even though we spoke, result may not be even attainable or palatable or retainable. But if we become purified, we come to the spiritual platform, then it's like relishable, ever relishable. So that's why when we say a devotee learns to tolerate, a devotee is determined to tolerate. So I'll just summarize what we spoke today. So we started off by discussing how this verse talks about what, when, how, and why. And then we looked at renunciation. And it's not just about giving up all activities or doing nothing, rather actually engaging ourselves in the devotional service. If we don't do that, we won't be happy. And by engaging ourselves in devotional service, we can achieve the Lord soon. Na chirena, abito. After that, we spoke about how we can fill our minds with Krishna and his devotional services. So there is no room left for material desires to come into our minds and bother us. Just like the example we used is a glass with water. So there is no room left for air. We also spoke about our two inner enemies, Kama and Krodha, and how it's important to control the Kama and Krodha. And how we can do that is, as devotees, focus on Krishna rather than on ourselves. Focus on remembering him, serving him, pleasing him. So focus is Krishna, not us. And we are redirecting our desires from material to the spiritual, that's how. So otherwise what will happen? We are just simply shifting from one material desire to another. And another example we spoke about is the sandwich. How the two loaves refer anchoring and lamentation, and there's teeny-weeny pleasure in the middle. And also the pleasure could be unattainable, or even if we attain it, may not be pleasurable, not palatable. And even if we attain it and it's pleasurable, it's not retainable. Can't retain it for long. So Krishna says, wise person, he does not delight in such pleasures because they are temporary, they have a beginning and they have an end. Initially, it may be hard to tolerate the desires because mind will act like a tiger, and it'll roar louder and louder. But it's a sign that our desires are becoming weaker. So as devotees, we should be determined to tolerate. So we'll finish here. Thank you for your kind attention and time. Any comments or questions, realization, please feel free to share. Okay, so yes.
Just reflecting on the shloka, Arpitaya Bhaktya fixed in devotional service. Iha Varunte, in this very life, one attains. I was just wondering, how is this practically possible to fix the mind 24/7, 366, in devotional service, especially this kind of life? How can we practically perceive that?
Okay. So question is, just for online viewers, I'm repeating Prabhuji. How can we practically fill our mind? I can share what I found personally, beneficial. First, I'll share that. When I keep myself busy in terms of, I've got like this service or another service, in that sense, then I'm thinking about the service, not thinking about other things. So this is one way. What I have heard in other classes or in other lectures from senior devotees is because my question was kind of similar to you, or when people ask questions, it was like we still need to go to work and we still need to do certain things, right? So it's not, is it devotion, right? I need to look after kids, or those things. How can you understand then? And then also like with this life thing. So one thing Prabhupada mentions when Mataji asked a question, or not asked a question, rather it was in a letter. Anyways, I'll just tell you the gist of it. Even taking care of kids or bringing them up in Krishna consciousness is a service. So if we see things as service, so when on the face of it we are not doing like the devotion, as a grasta, for example, we are going to work. But the thing is, practically we may offer before starting on, work, we remember Krishna. May not be possible like every second, when you are focusing on the work. But the thing is intermediate, like remembering of Krishna. Also and then what you are getting, like the salary, or then you are not the full salary, but a portion, you are offering to the Lord in the sense, not offering is the full, but with your donations or using them in the service. So then it's holistically becomes, your whole life in that sense is engaged in the service, like bringing kids or, when you're spending time with them rather than with movies or those kind of songs, doing kirtan with them, and rather than, reading bedtime, any kind of stories, it's reading like pastimes to them. So it's like, that's how you can fill your day or, mind with Krishna. So, and other things, practically what helps is, maybe have the kirtan in the car. So even if you are not thinking, but then your mind, when you actually, come into the car, as soon as you enter, you are, then it reminds you. So that practically helps how you have the things. Like sometimes having quotes from, or verses from Bhagavad Gita, or quotes from, like Acharyas or Prabhupada, having them on the walls, at different places, then it's kind of like, even if I'm not thinking, then it's like when I saw that, I just, it reminds me. So this is how another, practical kind of tip to help us, just helping us, ourselves reminding Krishna. Did it answer, Prabhuji? Thank you so much. Any other question or comments or anything? So we'll finish here. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्री श्री राधा गोपीनाथ भगवान की जय, जगत गुरु श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga.